All right, let's get started. We have 19 people and might as well get started and let everybody else trickle in. We've got enough for the quorum that we need. So Greg, do you want to go to the first slide? All right, everyone, welcome. And thank you for joining us for our virtual meeting on this lovely Saturday morning. If it seems strange to you to have an associates meeting in February, it's you're not wrong. It's because usually our meetings have been in June. And in fact, we had a meeting in June of 2021. At that meeting, we announced that we were going to change our fiscal year to the calendar year, January to December. And so that's why we're having our meeting now in February, because our real year of activity and the budget goes from January 1st to December 31st. And so we need to meet with you closer to the beginning of the year. So that's why we're now here in February. And so you can look forward to meeting with us as the membership meeting earlier in the year from now on. 2021 saw the return of music and dance to Brand, as well as a physical works on paper show that started in September. And many of you joined us for Art Wanderings at the Tufenkian Fine Arts Gallery in August, in July to the Adams Square Museum to see Beck and Call. And we've taken advantage of the virtual platform also to host listening salons with Antias Theater Company, their radio play series. And just 3 weeks ago, we had that great listening session where the subject of the zip code play was Glendale 91201. And it was about the Brand family. We joined with Glendale Historical Society to do that, and we had over 100 people attending. It was really a great event. In these past 2 years, some events have fallen victim to COVID concerns, the classical music series, the holiday open house, to name just a few. And of course, Omicron in January set us all back. We were hoping to meet with you in person, but here we are virtually again. But as we all experience, things are rapidly changing, and you'll see as you hear from the people today that throughout 2022, our plans are to get underway to bring back safely the variety of offerings that the associates have supported for the last 52 years. So the agenda is some information sharing, some business, some reports, some plans for the future, some hellos, some goodbyes. And then at the very end, we have a video tour of the Let Me Talk exhibition, which is currently on display at the Brand Gallery. And we would have been hosting you on a real walkthrough if we had met today at the library. So the first up to give an update of what's going on in the world is Kaylee Cannon, the Senior Library Arts and Culture Supervisor at Brand. And I'll let you take it away, Kaylee.
Thanks. Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for your support of the visual and performing arts. As Deb mentioned, your membership with the associates makes a lot of our programming at Brand Library and Arts Center possible. So thank you very much for your support. During 2021, we were excited to resume in-person programming at Brand during the summer with the Plaza series. Here's some great photos from the event held outside on the lawn in front of the library. Concerts included jazz, swing, rock, and Latin and contemporary music. And plans are underway for the 2022 Plaza series. So please stay tuned for details in the coming months. Also in 2021, we presented the dance series online with both performances and workshops. That wonderful image at the bottom is Rangoli Dance Company. They performed dance from South India. We also had a performance by Versa Style Hip Hop Dance Group, and also Mixed Emotion Theatrics performing a Great Gatsby themed dance performance. So coming up this May, we will be resuming in-person programming for the dance series. We have the Classical Ballet of Los Angeles. We'll be presenting a workshop, and there will be workshops and performances by Nickerson Rossi, a contemporary dance company. Tropicaliza is an African-influenced dance and drumming group, and Jazz Antiqua, jazz and music dance performance. So that's coming in May, so mark your calendars. Also starting soon is the Music Animated All Ages concert series. That kicks off on March 19th, just a few weeks away. At 10:30 a.m., there will be a performance by Kazan Taiko, a Japanese drumming group from USC. They will be performing outside on the plaza. And then the music series is also set to begin this spring on April 2nd. There's a chamber music series with a clarinet and guitar duo. Will kick off the series on April 2nd. And that performance will be held in the recital hall. And then speaking of the recital hall, I'm also excited to let you know that during the pandemic closures, city and library staff were working on updating the AV system in the recital hall. So I'm excited to welcome you back to the new and improved space. I also wanted to share a few updates about Brand Gallery. The gallery exhibits include Brand 49, works on paper, Women Painters West, a century of California women artists, the current exhibit, Let Me Talk, which you'll hear more about later on, and the next exhibit called Mapping the Sublime, exploring the landscape genre and climate change, and that opens on April 2nd. So there is a lot to see, do, and listen to at Brand this spring, and I encourage you to follow us on our website, brandlibrary.org, on our social media, Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter to keep up to date with everything that's happening. And I just wanted to thank the membership and the Associates Board as well for all of their support over the last couple of very challenging years. And we're looking forward to a great 2022. So I hope to see you all at Brand soon.
Kaylee, can I just ask a quick question before you go? For the April event, are you anticipating that you'll have people show proof of vaccination or anything like that, or is that still pretty fluid?
We are still working through that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who knows what the guidelines?
The guidelines have changed very recently, and so we're looking at our options for that. So.
Okay, great, thank you. Next up is Gary Shaffer, the Director of Glendale Library Arts and Culture Department. Gary, welcome. It's nice to see you with us again. Thank you.
So happy to be here. Thank you, Deb. And also want to echo Kaylee's thanks to the entire membership, but also to the board who, all work very hard to take this amazing, city asset, this jewel we have in Glendale, and just make it the extra special place that it can be. And so we really, truly appreciate that. I thought I would take this opportunity, if you'll indulge me, to give an update on some of the events at Glendale Library Arts and Culture with a particular slant towards the arts. So if we could have the next slide, I'll get right into it. First, as everyone knows, Black History Month is coming to a close, but we do have an exhibit up currently at the Adams Square Mini Park gas station, and this is by artist Marshall Yapo, and it actually is a series of African masks fashioned out of, ironically, gas cans, because it is a gas station, and I think he did an amazing job in presenting this. And there's also, if we go to the web link that's listed here on the library's website at eglendalelac.org, we can see an interview with Marshall about this exhibit and the processes involved. On our next slide, I'm happy to present that today we actually are presenting a program in person called Color and Dance, and this will be from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. today at Verdugo Park. While there, please do check out a recent mural that was installed in and around the bowl of the skate park. Color of Dance, please join Versa Style Dance Company, which serves as a response. This dance event serves as a response to the heightened injustices people of color endure from racialized political bureaucracies, especially within this last year. The event will exclusively pertain to hip hop repertoire and include performances, workshops, vendors, food, and moments of fun exchange on an open dance floor at Verdugo Skate Park during Black History Month. So for more information, you can visit this link, but please do join us today at Verdugo Park at 1 p.m. Next up is an exhibit that's coming to Central Library, kind of playing on Kaylee's exhibit she referred to about climate change. Impending Storms is by the Blue Marble Art Collective, and this will be at the Central Library. It will put a spotlight on the reality of the impending dangers of significant loss of species and the dangers looming over our biosphere. Many drawings depicting impressions of plants and animal species will be captured. In the net, visitors to the installation can walk through and around the net and other components of the installation, creating an experiential environment to consider problems related to species decline and the environmental issues. There will also be a table of drawing materials for the first 2 weeks of the exhibit for visitors to add their own drawings to the exhibit as well. So for more information, you can visit the link on the screen, and please visit the Central Library March 4th to May 1st to enjoy this. Central Library is now open 7 days a week, or back open, I should say, after the pandemic. So please do come and join us. Next up is the YWCA of Glendale and Pasadena is delighted to announce their 25th annual Heart and Excellence Awards, which will take place virtually on March 8th, International Women's Day. I'm excited about this, particularly because two of our own, Anahit Oshagan and Shannon Curry Holmes, who we'll hear from later today, are actually being awarded the Courage Award. And this is primarily in response to an exhibit they put on last year that's still up today, a virtual exhibit that they work with colleagues on called Reckoning, Racism and Resistance in Glendale. And so you can visit this exhibit, and I strongly encourage everyone to do so. It's through our Reflect Space exhibit. It was done in conjunction with staff at the brand. So reflectspace.org/reckoning will take you to the exhibit. And I think it's incumbent upon all of us to be aware of our history in Glendale, especially when it delved into racist activities that happened in the city. But I think it's also important to note that wherever those activities happen, there was always resistance to them. And so this exhibit, I think it's an interesting presentation, an interesting way to present the information. So one might think archival information might be very dry, but I think the staff did an amazing job at presenting this in a very, it's educational way, but also very interesting. And you can skim the surface, which I encourage everyone to at least do that, but also take deep dives into it. And I really want to thank the YWCA for recognizing two of our staff that worked so very, very hard on this exhibit. I remember when we were mounting it, and it was a Herculean effort. And I think they did a great job. So this year's event will focus on courage, compassion, and commitment, and will honor women who are driving gender equity in their respective professions and charitable work. And so we're so happy that these two are being presented with this award. And I hope folks will join the YWCA virtually on March 8th at lunchtime. Next up, I want to share with everyone, the library has been engaging for over the last year on its Be the Change initiative. And this year, we're really looking at intersectionality, which is when, two groups come around and together. So in this case, we're focusing on African-American women in particular. And in this case, March 21st is Rosie the Riveter Day. Many know that many women answered the call of our country's need during World War II, and showed up in factories and took jobs traditionally filled by men and performed very admirably. I know my own grandmother was a Rosie the Riveter in San Diego. And this exhibit focuses on African-American women. So we're presenting it through African-American History Month, Black History Month, through to International Women's Day and Women's History Month in March. So we have displays at all 8 of our libraries with images of African-American Rosie the Riveters, paying tribute to these women who entered the workforce during World War II. Bookmarks of these images will also be available for free for pickup. So for more information, you can visit this link, but we're very excited to present this. Next up, We have a very exciting program on March 26th. We'll be hearing from Paul R Ignatius. If you don't know who Paul is, he was born in Glendale in 1920, so he is 101 years old. So on March 26th at 10:30 a.m. at the Central Library, we'll be hearing from Paul Ignatius as he talks about Glendale in the 1920s and 30s. Paul is the former Secretary of the Navy from 1967 to 1969. As I said, was born in Glendale. He attended Hoover High School, where he served as the student body president in 1938 and continued his education at USC, where he graduated Phi Beta Kappa. He went on to serve as the Assistant Secretary of the United States Army, Under Secretary of the Army, as well as Assistant Secretary of Defense, and then, as I said, Secretary of the Navy under Lyndon Johnson. He, after that, went on to be president of the Washington Post. So he's a very accomplished Glendalian. His family was one of the first Armenian families to settle in Glendale, and he's coming to give this talk mostly about what Glendale was like in the 20s and 30s, and we're very excited to welcome him. So we do ask that folks register for the event, even though it is free. So you can do that at glac.info/Ignatius. Next, we have just wanted to share with everyone that the library, as the country experiences the Great Resignation, that sometimes is just people trading up to a different job, a better job, to better support their family, that the library has just a plethora of resources to assist with job help. So some may be familiar with the book, What Color is My Parachute? This book has been published for decades, and it helps people identify areas that they maybe didn't think about before that actually their interests lean towards, so careers and jobs. And so we have an online assessment tool that you can take, again, for free, that will tell you what you're interested in. Coming very soon, we have classes from LinkedIn Learning. This was formerly lynda.com and was purchased by LinkedIn Learning. And those classes, while you can get an individual subscription to and pay for those, you can take them for free coming soon at the library. So you can trade up your skills, reflect that on your LinkedIn page. And then we also offer services through JobNow, not only the What Color is My Parachute through JobNow, but you can also turn in your resume and get suggestions for how to improve it. You can turn in a cover letter and get the same response. We also have job coaches that you can chat with online to ask questions of, do mock interviews, and so on. So every tool you can imagine, as well as help with research on a company, a nonprofit, or other organization that you might be interested in. So you can check all this out at our website, again, eglendale.lac.org, and look at the top of the page under Digital Library. And then I think the last thing I have is just to let everyone know that we recently published our annual report. And while we have printed a few copies of this, it's obviously to save paper. You can look just at it online at, again, glac.info/annual report. And I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to the City of Glendale's Arts and Culture Commission, who sponsored many of the programs that I went through earlier, and happy that Ms. Sue Bell-Yank is on the call, who's the current chair of the Arts and Culture Commission, and just really appreciate all their volunteer work and efforts to help transform Glendale into an arts and culture destination. And with that, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Gary, thanks. That the award given to Anaid and Shannon is really just a testimony to how important that whole project has been for our community. And you folks might remember that when we met in June of last year, we had a panel discussion with Ara and with Shannon about the creation. It was really fascinating. It really is a very valuable document for us all to share. All right, thank you, Gary. Appreciate it. So now we have to do some business, folks. And the first order of business is to talk about the board of directors. This is your board of directors from 2021. I'm the president. Deborah Burchett-Lear is the treasurer. Tammy O'Connor is the vice president. Greg is the secretary, and Sue Bell-Yang and Mike are other members. And so we've worked really hard over this last year. In fact, we've been together since July of 2020 was when this board was constituted. And we only met once in person in that whole time. So we were really definitely a COVID board, but continue to be very active. The first order of business is to re-elect Tammy O'Connor for another 3-year term on the board. And Tammy joined the board in, I think, June of 2016. She then took a leave of absence for a year or so because she was employed by a contractor to the city of Glendale working on the Arts Master Plan. But she returned in force and became the vice president of the board. More importantly, though, she chairs our marketing and community engagement committee, where the task of which is to reach out and make sure that people know what we're doing, to encourage people to come to our events, to give everybody the information that they need to really appreciate everything that we do and that is offered by the city of Glendale. So Tammy has incredible experience in these areas. She's wise and she has passion for the arts in Glendale that are really great assets to the associates. So I'd like to have Tammy return as a board member for another 3 years. And could someone give me a motion to re-elect Tammy O'Connor to a 3-year term on the board? Anybody?
I'll motion to re-elect Tammy for another 3-year term on the board.
Okay, and Lucy Wang, is that okay if I have you second that, Lucy? Lucy just put in the chat that she will give a motion, so we'll have her second that. Thank you, Lucy. And now everybody gets to vote. And so there'll be a poll popping up and you just vote yes or no on Tammy. Greg, mine isn't clicking in.
Oh, okay. You don't vote.
Oh, I don't.
No, unfortunately. But all the votes are in, and
Okay.
those are the results.
Yay, Tammy. Okay.
I thank you yet.
Yeah, go ahead, Tammy.
Thank you all.
Okay.
Make it a great 3 years.
Yeah, okay. So the next slide is who our new board is, our current officers. It will stay the same. Deborah Burchett-Lear has been both the treasurer and our membership chairperson for too many years now. And so our new board member, who we'll talk about in just a minute, is going to start to transition into that membership role. So Deborah will have less of a dossier to handle for us. So Tammy's going to stay with us. Unfortunately, we are going to be losing our board member, Sue Bell-Yang, who joined us in June of 2020, and she's leaving us to take on a new and challenging job, which is closer to home and which involves public art projects. Tammy has an appreciation that she wants to share about Sue because they've worked very closely together on the marketing committee. Tammy.
Okay. It's so bittersweet to have Sue Bell-Yang leave us. She came, I think it was late spring 2020. And of course, we didn't know at that time what the next few years were going to give us, but it's been a challenge. But wisely, I think that Sue led us into the idea that we should use this time to turn internally, work behind the scenes to make us a stronger organization. Some of you know that Sue is a writer and an educator, arts and culture administrator, and she's had leadership positions really all over the county of LA. And she's also, as you well know, serves as the Arts and Culture Commission. She's also a very busy working mom to 3 young kids. And that's why her impact was just so striking to me, because she's just so busy, but she is incredibly do, and everything gets done, which is just wonderful for the brand associates. For openers, she came to us and joined initially instigating like a digital civic engagement strategy, because we were a little old school in terms of not doing that much social media, not understanding how to put together a digital press kit. Everything that is digitized has been able to reach so many audience members, including press. And she also assisted us with transitioning into this virtual exhibition when we did Brand 48. She also used the digital marketing and strategy engagement and implementation when we did a lot of social media posts, and especially for the works on paper artists, we really became their partners in their own marketing and had the idea of highlighting each and every artist who submitted to the brand works on paper show. And she and our board member, Mike Deal, still have been doing 3 posts per week highlighting that artist. And so the idea that that artist has the marketing power to reach the community well after the show has wrapped has really been powerful. But in my view, her lasting achievement was the 3-part cultural equity and inclusion plan that she did that cited specific goals and implementation strategies and very expected outcomes. This was created just about a year ago. And what was really meaningful to me was that I actually worked on many plans for different municipalities. And this is a kind of a plan that would not be sitting on a shelf or in a digital archive or on a Google Drive. It has very specific action items. And it's a document that the board, I think, will use as a touchstone to make sure that what we're doing is what we stated we would do. And that will live on and remind us that is really Sue's legacy. So we're proud to have you as a board member for the last 2 years, and we will be engaging with you for the rest of your professional career as well. Thank you, Sue.
Yes, thank you, Sue, so much. We're really going to miss you, your contributions, and just your energy and again, wisdom were really very helpful to us. Do you want to say a few words yourself? And also, you're going to then introduce our new board member, who you, the prospective board member, who you introduced us to.
Yes, thank you everyone for the kind words. Thank you so much, Tammy. That's really meaningful. I've really just treasured my time on the Brand Associates board. I think you all are doing wonderful work. I love the brand. I think it's, you know, it needs a supportive organization like this to really, as Director Shaffer said, you know, bring it to kind of that next level of being this beacon for arts and culture in Glendale. So I really believe in the work that the board is doing and the membership is supporting. I wish I could stay on, to be very honest, and it's really just, you know, a timing and capacity and bandwidth thing. I'm entering a role as an executive director of a small organization, and that's, you know, going to really just take every bit of effort that I have. So very, very appreciative for the work. I'm going to continue to be a member and continue to be a supporter as much as I can into the future. But I'm really delighted, maybe Deb, if I can move into introducing Tina.
Yeah. Greg, do you want to show the next slide?
Yeah, so I'm really delighted to present to the board and membership Tina Demirjian, who I've gotten to know in a previous role in kind of a different context, but as we connected about being Glendale residents and being kind of involved in the communities here, it just struck me that she would be the perfect person to come onto the board. Tina's a longtime Glendale resident. She's a poet, a curator, an educator, and a very actively involved community member in Glendale. She's the owner of Poetry Consults, which is an organization that's dedicated to poetry education and using poetry to create opportunities for self-expression, team building, and strategic partnerships. And I think her organizational knowledge and her strategic mind will be incredibly great asset to the Brand Associates board. She's worked for a variety of different Glendale schools and nonprofits, both as a consultant and a teaching artist, as well as the Los Angeles Education Partnership and the National Academy of Sciences. So has a really incredibly robust background and set of skills. We're thrilled to have Tina, to present Tina as a prospective board member. And you know that she will lend that expertise towards building community partnerships, working with our membership and strategic visioning for the brand associates.
Thank you, Sue. Let's move on to electing Tina. And then Tina, I'll have you show yourself and talk about you and what you're currently doing, and we'll welcome you to the board. So I need a motion to elect Tina to the board. Can I get a motion for that? Anybody?
I'll move to elect Tina to the board.
Okay, Mike, and a second?
I'll second it.
Tammy? Okay, so here's our poll, and with the strong support of the board, we hope you'll elect Tina to join us.
All right.
Yay! Good. Tina, do you want to say a few words and then tell us about your current project?
Hi, everyone. Yes, thank you so much. I'm absolutely delighted to have the opportunity to be on the board of Brand Associates. I do also want to say a special thank you to Sue for really thinking of me and connecting with me in that way. I have always believed in impact of culture and the arts for many years. And when she introduced me to some of the members, you know, it brought back a lot of memories for me. I think Arlene might remember the dress project, the Armenian Dress and Textile Project was at the doctor's house twice, several years back. And it was always, always meaningful that we could connect with Glendale residents with the work that we were doing because of the clothing and dowries and objects of my ancestors I found back in Queens, New York, in my grandmother's house more than 20 years ago, and brought back to Glendale because I realized I had found my ancestors and I couldn't let them go. So I brought them back, and today in an hour, we're going to have another exhibit here at the Ararat Eskijian Museum, which is in Mission Hills. For today and tomorrow, we will also have an international conference on a particular region called Kayseri or Gesaria, where we have had some translation of memoirs and other scholarly work done on textiles and so forth. So the Brand Library of Art and Music has been very, very much important in my life. I got my first job there through an interview, and I taught poetry 30 years ago in LA Unified. That's where it all began. So there's been so many connections, and being a Glendale resident, I have seen how it has grown and how it has embraced the community. And I'm very grateful to have the opportunity to be part of that process and that longevity and that legacy. So I'm delighted, and I will send all of you information through the members about the event. If you can join in, it's via Zoom or in person. And I look forward to working together as a big team. Thank you to the members and to the board members as well.
Tina, welcome aboard. It's going to be great working with you, and we will certainly enjoy your energy and your enthusiasm and your knowledge of the Glendale community. Now, Tina has to leave us because she has to jump on her other Zooms for this project, so we'll let her go. And Tina, again, thank you for coming on the board.
Thank you all.
Although we lost Sue, we brought on Tina, and that still keeps us with 6 board members. But we would really like to have more board members. And our new board of directors for 2022 includes Tina, as you see here at the bottom. But we really would like to have at least 2 more board members so that we have more energy and more ideas and more input from various members of the community. We meet about 10 times a year. We've been meeting almost all virtually for the last 2 years, except for the one time that I mentioned. I imagine that we will try to meet face-to-face occasionally, because that really is fun to do, but virtual has worked well for us. We are not a pay-to-play board. There's no buy-in to be a board member. What we want are your ideas, again, energy and experience with Glendale. And so please, if you are interested in joining the board, let me know. I'm Deborah at associatesofbrand.org. And or if you know someone who might be a good candidate to work with us, who's interested in the brand and any of the cultural programs that we produce, that we support, dance, music, art in particular, please let me know, and we'd love to have more people joining us. Okay. Oh, and by the way, a lot of our work is done in smaller committees, so it's not that we all get together and talk about every single thing. We do have committee work that really does advance the ball quite a bit in our various things that we need to do. Okay, so that's my plea to you guys. Now we're going to go on to our information sharing from the board, and we'll start with the treasurer's report. Deborah Burchett-Lear and I will talk about what's planned for our 2020 budget. Deborah, do you want to start?
Okay. Should we do the first? Okay, the basic budget.
Yep.
The board has approved the following projected budget for the fiscal year, January through December 2022. And as you can see from this, as well as the graphs that will come later, the majority of our income usually is generated from the annual Works on Paper exhibition, followed by the generous membership contributions. Due to the ongoing effects from COVID and scheduling of events, we've been somewhat cautious in projecting income for the year, and hope that once we're up and running to live audiences, we'll be able to generate more income to help with our expenses. As you can see, our expenses are primarily in support of the brand library and gallery programs, music and dance, as well as the annual Works on Paper exhibit. Additionally, we provide funding for the event postcard mailings, the library staff development, and other programs scheduled throughout the year. Our digital outreach and communications has become an important factor to keep everyone informed of the events and be a part of the social media platforms. The board is mindful of our budget and aims to keep enough funds in the accounts to be able to fund programming for the following year, should there be no additional incomes generated. Currently, the brand associates has $82,861.18 in our checking and savings account. So as you can see, when we started January 1st, we had $80,839.90, and we've already received some income to go up, from that number. There's a little summary memo on the lower left corner. If you can kind of look at it, we began with $80,839.90. With our projected income of $37,650, we projected total of $118,489.90, less the projected expenses, $67,233. We would have a final balance of $51,256.90. I don't know if the graphs kind of show a little bit more, Deb, or if there is anything else you want to say?
Yeah, let me just make a couple comments here. COVID has made it difficult to budget, because we didn't know what, at the very beginning, we didn't know what the impact would be on our income at all, including what artist fees would be if artists were going to be wanting to answer our call and become part of our what might be virtual shows for the brand shows. And then also, we didn't know what kinds of expenses we were going to have for the programs at the brand. And it turns out that for 2 years, we had very, very few expenses for brand program, because there was really none that we were supporting except the Plaza Series that started the dance series and the Plaza series last year. So we were really keeping very pretty much even. We were balancing our budget because we did have good response to the works on paper shows, and we had very few expenses for the programs at Brand. So we invested some in our, as Tammy was mentioning, in our social media and our website and things like that. And so for 2 years, we had things really pretty well balanced. Well, now that that Brand is up and running again and hopefully doing, asking us for all of the funding that we have traditionally provided, our expenses are going to be higher than they had been before, and we can't really predict what our income is going to be. We did increase the artist fees for Brand 50 coming up. For Brand 49, we had a fee waiver that artists took advantage of, and we also had very low fees, but we felt we needed to increase them a little bit just so that we would have this, some income coming in from the Works on Paper show. So this year in particular, we are going to be focusing on sponsorships, donations, really trying to establish sources of income that are coming from the community, that are being, acknowledging the work that we do and the importance of the community. And we are setting up a real drive to get out there and bring in funds that are going to fall in the donation category. So that's why the income looks really pretty low, because we kept it that way, because we don't really know for sure how the community is going to respond to our outreach. So if it looks dire, it's really not. It's just a real sort of realistic look at where we are coming from a time when we had really no or very few requests for funding for the Brand, and a time when our income was really pretty flat, actually. So, but we can make it go, and we have plenty of money. Even if we didn't raise another penny, we would have money for 2023. So our goal, though, is to really try to work on another kind of income stream other than memberships and the brand shows. Okay. Any comments from anything else, Deborah, about that?
No, I think the graphs here can kind of give you a better sense as to where our funding goes in terms of the priorities, and where most of our income is generated at this point. And I have the membership report, which I could just, I'll mention.
Well, let's look at the expenses, and then we'll go to the
you can
membership.
see the majority of our expenses are for brand programming, exhibitions, gallery, any sort of outreach for those events. And the small percentage is for insurance, the bulk mailings, and taxes and accounting.
Okay, any questions about the plans for 2022? Anybody?
You have any questions in the chat? I guess,
All right, well, let's go on to the membership report then, Deborah.
Okay.
So you can see Deborah deals with a lot for us, and she's really looking forward to helping Tina to transition into the membership role. So thank you, Deborah, for everything.
Oh, no, I love doing the membership. So it's a great opportunity to get to know everybody who is a sponsor and donor to our programs and to the brand. But I know that Tina is going to bring some new energies and experiences. And our goal is, to double our membership if we can. And I have to say, I have to thank all of you here today. We have a mighty group of supporters and members that have been, some of them have been long-term supporters for over 25 years. And some of you are new, which is wonderful to have. But with the COVID challenges, we have experienced, a reduction in our membership, but I'm happy to say we still have 158 members and growing every day. So, but hopefully next year, our report will say we have over 300. That'll be ideal. We've had that before, so it's not unrealistic. So I'm really looking forward to Tina, who will be taking on the membership chair responsibilities. And I want to thank you all again for making all of this possible, because without your support, many of these fabulous programs would not happen. So thank you.
You can start looking for us giving our pitch at each and every event that is taking place at Brand too, because that's something we haven't been able to do with no events in person. It's something that we really tried to get our name associated with these wonderful programs and encourage membership in that way. So look for us.
And bring a friend that has
Bring a
never
friend,
come to
right.
Brand before, and get them excited about coming. And also volunteers often become great members.
Okay, on to marketing and community engagement. Tammy.
So I'm going to have Greg and Mike speak about specific ways we reach the audience, but I just want to let everyone know that marketing and community engagement is not just a one-way street in terms of us putting out information to our membership about what we do. We look at us as kind of like the connection engine, and all tagged around where arts and community connect. And one of the ways we do that is we learn new things about elements of the brand, and particularly what I've learned in the last few years is the remarkable brand staff. They are incredibly experienced, unique, and exceptionally qualified to run all elements of the library. So we've been starting to highlight elements about brand staff and let our audience get to know them a little bit. We also do a lot of relationships with press in order to get them to cover the events. And we also do things like some sponsorship elements that we're going to be talking about later on with Brand 50. But we also ask you if you want to engage with us, if you know some small businesses that want to engage with us or have presence at events potentially as we move forward. When we start really reconnecting in person, we'd love to hear from you. So I'm going to throw this over to Greg first, and then Mike, they're going to tell you a little bit more about the specific ways we engage with you. Go ahead. I think Greg's going to go first, right?
Yeah, thanks, Tammy. I just wanted to mention that couple of ways that we're reaching out and you can get information from us is obviously the main one is from our website. We try to keep that up to date as much as possible, and we post the most recent things that are going on at the brand as well as what's going on with the associates as well. This is obviously for our members and also for non-members. It's for everybody. And it is our main portal, and we're trying to make it our main portal for membership and donations. So as people join, we are trying to ask them to join through the website so that we can just have better control over who our members are and keep better records and automatically renew your membership and all that great stuff. So our website is one way we reach out. Specifically for our members, we do a biannual large format newsletter, which all of you should receive via email. And we also have been, when we're busy, we do a monthly update. It's been kind of quiet, as you all know, but we do try to do a monthly update where we focus on 3 or 4 elements that are happening at the library, and just to keep you up to date. So that's our email and web presence at the moment. And I'm going to hand it over to Mike, and he can tell us more about the social media presence we have.
Thank you, Greg, and thank you, Tammy. Greg just put up our Facebook page, which I hope you all frequent. As you can see, we have 730 followers. This is one of two main portals, the other being Instagram, where we can share events and artwork from the recent Brand 49 show and any news, other related arts news and events around Glendale. We hope you all subscribe and follow the accounts to keep up to date. I'd also like to add that, as Greg said, it is a two-way street. So if there are events that you'd like us to promote via these channels, please get in touch either by messaging us through these portals or email or through the website. If anyone has any questions, post them to the chat. Otherwise, thank you for engaging with us.
Let me just comment that the posting of individual artworks from Brand 49, it took almost a year for those Instagram posts to go out, because there were so many artworks and such real attention paid to the careful discussion and presentation of each artwork. It was really quite a project. And Mike, you guys, Mike, Tammy, and Greg, are to be congratulated on following through with it. I know Sue was really involved with that too. So it was really a nice addition to the great exposure that we gave our artists in the show itself. So thank you.
And I'll add that a number of the artists have commented either on the comments page under a post or on Instagram that they appreciate the additional promotion months after the show closed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
great.
it does have a great
That's
effect.
good.
Can I just briefly mention about the website, the work that Greg and Mike have also done, and especially in terms of the membership, because we have such an easy way for members to sign up and join. I know some people have had some little bit of hiccups here and there with the online system, but I have to say that we have more members now that are on the auto renewal membership system than we have that are not. So thank you for embracing this new technology with us. I think that's something we worked hard on, and we really do appreciate people using it. I think everybody does appreciate it.
Great. Tammy, are you going to wrap it up, or is everybody?
I didn't have a wrap up thing going on, but I do want to just mention that we are a little economic engine going on at the brand. And I think as you guys come back, and we'll visit, of course, for all the events, Plaza Series, the classical series, when we can do those, and of course, leading up to Brand 50. But when we start getting data from the library in terms of how many visitors we have, and so many visitors do not come from Glendale to the library, which is always shocking to me. We are really excited to move forward to Brand 50, as Deb will be speaking about later, because our visitors are deep and committed and come from all over LA County. So we have a lot of work to do. We would love to help you, even if you want to join on just a committee and don't want to be a board member. Just reach out to us. We have a lot of work to do, and it's, we all do this as volunteers. So we would welcome your input and get to know you guys a little better, besides just having an annual Zoom. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, so people have been referring to Brand 50, so let's get to Brand 50. Brand 50, the 50th of these annual exhibitions that have been sponsored by the Brand Associates in the gallery. Brand 50 is 2 years behind the anniversary of the Brand Associates themselves, which is, we're Brand 52 this year, or the 52nd anniversary of the Associates, because of the 2-year hiatus during the restoration of the library and the gallery space. So we're 50th anniversary this year. And it's going to be a very long show from the end of September all the way through the beginning of the end of the year. There's plenty of time available in the gallery. It'll be up during the holiday open house, which will be great. And so there should be really good exposure for over the holidays, over Christmas break, over the holiday open house for people to see the show. So we're very, very excited about it. The first, there'll be two parts of Brand 50. One will be the traditional annual National Juried Exhibition of Works on Paper, which is the open call for artists around the country to send in their entries. That's been traditional works on paper for several decades now. But we want to also honor the history of these 50 years of exhibitions. And interestingly enough, the first brand-sponsored exhibitions were ceramics, multimedia. It was not always works on paper. So we're going to go into our archives and look at what we have as a collection of the brand associates that has been gathered over these 50 years of shows. And Deborah Lear and I are spending a great deal of time in what we call the cage down in the basement, where all of these artworks are stored. We're taking a look at everything, seeing what kind of shape they're in. Do things need to be fixed? Do they need to be rehung? What do we have really? And then trying to figure out how to show the historical sweep of the 50 years of exhibitions, how the art has changed over time, and really trying to highlight some of the best artworks of those 50 years. So we're probably looking at a gallery, a large gallery space with representative artworks and text panels, historical text panels and things like that. So it's going to be very fun to figure out what we're going to show in terms of the historic brand shows, as well as the works on paper show itself. So we are updating our files, taking photographs of everything, and again, making comments so that we know what we're up against in terms of just even showing the artwork that we have in the basement. So we want everything to be celebrated about Brand 50, including the annual Works on Paper show and the historic show. And we're going to need some help with that. And I'm looking to set up a couple of ad hoc committees for the events that would surround the Brand 50 exhibition. One would be to talk with us and come up with ideas and approaches to the celebration itself of the anniversary, and another that will help us to figure out what to do with the collection that we have been putting together over the last 50 years. It's many artworks that really spend their whole lives in the basement in the dark. And is that what we should be doing with these artworks? Is there some way we can utilize them in a different way? So if anyone would be interested, again, I know we're asking for a lot of we're giving you a lot of opportunities to engage with us and to help, but these two ad hoc committees I think would be really fun. And we'd like to hear from you about how to go about planning to have this anniversary be a very big event and a potential fundraiser, of course, for the brand associates. So we are going to be focusing on donations specifically to the Brand 50 events when we make our pitch to people in the community. And please contact me if you would be interested in either of these ad hoc committees, and we'll get those going in the near future. I want to share with you what our logo is going to be. Mike Deal has been, who's a wonderful graphic designer, has come up with a couple of a major graphic and then several ways to display the graphic here with the black background, one with brand, the label, and one with just the graphic. And then the next one is on a lighter background. And we really have all really liked this approach to our logo. It's very different. It's different than the look of probably the logos for the last 5 or 6 years. Very energetic, and Mike really worked hard and took a lot of input from the board members about these. So you'll be seeing these logos, or maybe with minor tweaks to them, as Mike says, when we start to promote Brand 50. So thank you, Mike. It's it's really lovely, and we're so happy to have you doing this kind of work for us. Did you want to say anything, or are you?
No, the only thing I'd say is thank you. Appreciate the kind words. I did, the one element that I did infuse into this design is sort of the geometry. The last few logos have been, very geometric with round circles and straight lines and so forth. So there is that sort of echoing in this logo, but I also wanted to make it, stand off from everything that we have done before.
Good, thank you, thank you. Okay, we always have to pick a juror for our Brand Works on Paper show, and this year we thought it made a lot of sense to invite Shannon Curry Holmes to be our juror. Every year she mounts the show. She is given a bunch of artworks that are selected by our juror, and she has to make sense of it, and she always does. She always makes a beautiful layout. Everything looks very, it really flows throughout the gallery, and she's presented with these things that she works with like 3 weeks before the show opens. So we thought it would be nice to let Shannon think about the hanging of Brand 50 from the very beginning, when from the artworks are first presented, and to pick artworks with a view to maybe how they might work together, or how the different kinds of media that are chosen. So Shannon has agreed to be our juror, and we will really look forward to seeing what she comes up with, and very, very happy to have her be willing to take on this role for us. So Shannon, do you want to say a few words, or?
Absolutely. I always want to say a few words. Thank you so much to the Brand Associates, first of all, for just the support of the gallery space, and of course of all of the programs at Brand. I am very, very excited to be the juror for Brand 50 for all of those reasons that you listed, Deb. Also, the challenge of having the historical show be paired with the Works on Paper show. I think it's going to be a wonderful challenge, and I'm glad that I'm there from the beginning, and I get to actually go down into the cage, as you say, to see that work. So that also will help inform how we hang the show to make it as beautiful as we possibly can. And that won't be hard, because it's always so many fabulous artists that bring their artwork to the show. I mean, it's a wonderful thing to be able to choose from so much incredible artwork. I just want to quickly take this moment, because I don't have a whole lot of time to talk, but I just wanted to say thank you to Sue Bell-Yanks for her time with the Associates, because she has brought so much to the Associates and provided me with wisdom and guidance in so many ways working with her. And I will miss her, and I look forward to seeing what she does next. And also welcome to Tina. I'm really excited to get to know you. I absolutely adore poetry, and I worked with a poetry group when I was working way back when in North Hollywood. So I'm so excited to be able to bring something like that to Brand and maybe incorporate it into some of the gallery shows. Mike, the logo is Sublime. I love the new logo. I think you just did an incredible job, as always. So I'm very, very excited to be the juror for this show, and with that fabulous new logo, and just continue working with the Brand Associates. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shannon. Always a pleasure to have you on board with everything. Okay, so I'm going to talk next just about future plans, just very briefly, and then we'll go for the entertainment, our program at the end of the show. Most of our plans involve Brand 50, the gearing up for the event itself, the historical exhibition, the search for the community engagement of sponsors and donations for the show. We do want to plan a variety of art wanderings, because we want to see you in person again, whether it's as a group of associates, or whether it's seeing you coming to participate in any of the other shows at the Brand. We have in our budget of money for the return of a real art film series with maybe 4 individual screenings. If you have ideas for films that we could consider doing for that, please let me know. And our priority again is to enlarge our board. by 1 to 2 members. So that's going to be a goal that we have also in the coming year. But you know, we really do appreciate you coming to the meeting today, and all of your any comments, any questions, any participation is all welcome. We really are a nice group of people to work with. As you can see, everybody's very very friendly, and our meetings can be very enjoyable. So with that said, I'm actually going to close the business section of the meeting, and we have a program that Shannon put together for us, and I'll let her introduce the program to you. It's about 25 minutes long, and it's a tour of the Let Me Talk exhibit that's currently in the gallery. If please stay for the end, or if you need to leave, you may leave, and at the end of the video, I'm just going to say a quick goodbye. Thank you again, everyone, for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you in the coming months and years. Thank you. Shannon.
Hi again. I just wanted to do a quick introduction to this video. As was mentioned, we normally would be doing this in person, and I would be taking a group of you through the gallery and explaining the artwork and talking about the curator's ideas around how the show came together. Because we don't have that option here and we're doing it through Zoom, very quickly, we pulled together a video of the curator walking through the exhibit. You'll have to excuse some of the audio issues. We basically did it in one take. We had about 3 hours of footage and did our best to make that into a bite-sized 25 minutes of walking, the curators walking through the exhibit. It was filmed on our iPhones and quickly edited together, but it actually is a very good overview of this wonderful exhibit, Let Me Talk. And I encourage you, just because it is, you know, we just took snippets of all of the curators' words around each artwork, that we encourage you that if you do have an opportunity to come see it, we'd love to have you at the gallery with masks on, and take a look at the exhibit in person as well. It is really an exceptional show. And so take it away, and welcome to Brand Let Me Talk.
In times of dread, artists must never remain silent. This is precisely the time when artists go to work. There's no time for despair, no place for self-pity, no need for silence, no room for fear. We speak, we write, we do language. That's how civilizations heal. Toni Morrison.
Hi, my name is Jill, and we're here to talk about our exhibition, Let Me Talk, that we co-curated here at the Brand Library and Art Center. So right now we'd like to introduce you to Barbara T. Smith. She's been a longstanding LA feminist artist. She's been around for many, many years. And these images are of her hands. And her purpose was to show the aged hands, working hands of a creative.
Barbara is known for very early on using the Xerox machine in her art. And so some of
Here is a work from Self-Help Graphics, which is a very well-known print shop here in Los Angeles. And it was curated by one of our other artists here in the show, Mio Stevens Gandara. And they are a work of 52 playing cards called Utopia Dystopia.
the idea from Mio's idea originally in creating this work was to give 26 artists 2 playing cards. We had no idea what the other artists were doing. And then we had opportunities to work at the printmaking atelier, Self-Help Graphics, with their master printers to create 2 prints based on one idea. Take each of your playing cards and make a utopian and a dystopian image.
This is Serena Potter's work. It's called Submission, and is actually a self-portrait. This is actually the artist, and it shows a woman who has given up. She's been fighting and fighting, and she just finally gives up.
The lighting technique that Serena is working with is called chiaroscuro, which goes back to the Baroque period of art, something that Caravaggio would have started and used. And it's to use a very dark background where the light of the figure is just coming out from the painting as the light starts to fall onto the forms. And we have this ambiguous background space of just darkness. We're in front of two pieces here by J. Michael Walker. J. Michael has been traveling to northern Mexico, where his wife's family is from, for several years. And he's gotten to know the community of elders there very well and has been doing portraits of them for years and years.
These women in particular are people he has known for many, many, many years, and they're all watching each other age, and he knows them. He's very close to these people. So he's tapping into that innate wisdom and sweetness of these basically family members, grandmothers. And so they're very dear to him, and he's painted them really, really lovingly. This piece behind us, this beautiful tree, is by Catherine Rouet. Catherine has been working on a series of big old trees like this that are called witness trees. And the witness tree is a tree that has survived certain historical events. This particular tree is called General Pico. This tree is still alive. It lives in Orange County, and it was used for hangings.
This tree is done on paper in charcoal, and then Catherine has cut out some of the leaves and branches, and it's pinched to this wall and just has been growing as we see it.
It's been growing, and if you get close up to it, you can see that the leaves overlap. These cut out branches and leaves overlap. It's very, very two-dimensional. This piece is called Victory Garden, and I came up with the idea for this piece in late 2020, when the news came out that the outgoing president's family, his wife in particular, had decided to redesign the Rose Garden in the White House. Now, the Rose Garden has been around since like 1913. I have the date here. And first ladies for generations have always had a hand in this Rose Garden. In 1961, Jacqueline Kennedy redesigned the Rose Garden and made it even more beautiful and prestigious. She planted 6 crabapple trees. She had an herb garden. She had tulips. She had roses, and they're all gone. So you can go online, and there is a petition for Jill Biden, Dr. Jill Biden, to please resurrect our garden. So I called it Victory Garden. This is a piece by Kathy Weiss, and it's a hand-cut wood block. She actually carves into the wood to make the prints. The only block is wood. This piece is called Waters of Strength, and is the story. She's telling the story of 2 women. One is Jewish and one is Islamic. One is Miriam, one is Fatima, and it has to do with the 2 different cultures and so much of the commonality that they have. And one of the ways she symbolizes this is right here on their chest. As if you look, it's actually the same print in different colors. There's a hand print. It's called the Hamsa or the Hamsa. And it's a universal sign of both cultures. The stork nest is born as a crown, and it's supposed to symbolize good motherhood. The stork is an animal that migrates all over Europe and down into Africa, just like the people that she's talking about, the Jews and the Arabs. So Mio's work is representative of a time that represents her community and represents her family, and it also represents for us, when we saw it, how we have treated people in our country and how people have been treated by world events throughout history. And this is Adoran, which is a door hanging, a traditional Japanese door hanging. And this particular piece is specifically speaking about the Japanese internments during World War II. And what I love about this, of course, is the skill level that she has in her drawing and in this work. And she has set it up as a visual timeline. It's almost a time clock that we start from the beginning to where we are today as we move forward.
So the series of these 3 paintings are part of a series called The Migrants. There are 3 pieces. The first one here is, I call it Run. And I try to use things that are defined or found in the culture. There's 2 African children, and the stamping is a print from a woodblock print that was made in Africa and is used to create the clothing. The second one is called Nakba. The word Nakba means catastrophe in Arabic. And the final one is the more recent period that we live in now, which is called Caged. And it is a reaction to what we've done to people and children at the south of the border, separating families and caging them. So the piece we're looking at now is by and Margaret calls herself an urban scavenger. She photographs and documents fences, gates that she sees. It was the kind of fencing that was used to separate a neighborhood from the homeless people that were encamped on the streets.
Every single little hole in that big piece of paper, several pieces of paper, was cut by hand with an X-Acto. It's very intricate, very focused, almost meditative what she's doing. And the quote I have here is, she writes, "These portraits become both a celebration of commonality and a critique of the politics of belonging." And so these are people that she's very close to. So it is just, she talks very much about celebrating people that she's friends with and people from her neighborhood who maybe don't fit into any kind of particular norm. It takes a lot of bravery to express that and to be who you are. This is Margaret Alarcon's beautiful work, and we've got 2 of her pieces, and she is cutting these images and these patterns out of traditional kitchen oilcloth, like you put on a kitchen table, and then she silkscreen print things over it. And she's designed them to be very kinetic mobiles, so they move around and you can cast this amazing, beautiful shadows. And if you look up here, we've got the traditional skull that you would see during Dia de los Muertos.
Margaret is bringing in both culture and tradition. See on the back side of the oilcloth. Yeah. And then on the front side is what's called old school. These are the brown and gray. These are young revolutionaries in the 70s, Chicano revolutionaries in the 70s. So that they're here. She's bringing in a contemporary history and memories of things that have been going down in her culture, as well as bringing in traditional material and media as well.
Ada Brown's, I'm friends with the sisters.
It's a triptych called Living Veiled that also expresses women and the dressing of women in the veiling, the tradition of veiling.
Okay, these 2 beautiful quilts are by an artist named Lavielle Campbell, and the quotes come from real life instances. In this particular case, this was a woman was driving, and her partner, her boyfriend, was in the back passenger seat, and her daughter was in the back seat. And there was a misunderstanding between the young man in the front and the police, and he was reaching for his ID or something, and the police shot him in the car. So the mother starts screaming, and this is a direct quote from the little girl in the back seat of the car. "Mom, please don't keep cussing and screaming, because I don't want you to get shooted."
And on the second piece, this happened actually in New York City, where a young boy was shopping in a little grocery store in the city. And this woman accused the child of grabbing her and touching her improperly and called the police on the kid. And it was later that the video cameras in the store showed, in fact, his backpack happened to brush up against her. And so this poor child was humiliated. And this is what he said about it. "It's still hard because I had this lately on my mind, like I felt humiliated."
These 2 pieces are by a man named Theodore Sveningsson, and he does a lot of these, what he refers to as word pieces, and he's telling stories. And he's very skilled, and he comes from a very unusual background. And his whole point is how to talk to people and how to connect with people. So very much connects with what Shizu Salgado was talking about, with an outsider, someone who is different from whatever that norm might be. This specific piece, he's literally talking about communication, and he's brought these old envelopes. Some of them are addressed to, I'm assuming that's his mother. It's his mother's, you know, his family name. There's several, and they're very, very old. 1934. They're very. So these are leftovers from his family.
And this piece that Ted did is called Little Hunchback. And Hunchback was a young girl that he knew, and you have to take a little time with this as a viewer, because you really do need to read. And he's asking you to read a story, but the careful craftsmanship in his lettering, highlighting some of the letters and knots, so it almost looks like it's carved into this material, which is just a canvas that he's painted on, brings you into this surface to wonder, what is it? To me, it reminded me a little bit like a mortuary gravestone that you might see, with the text being etched in.
This is an artist named Lee Salgado. She's local here to Los Angeles, and if you look at her work, just craftsmanship is impeccable. Every single piece of lace here has been hand cut, again with a very sharp exacto knife. She's talking about the power of femininity and these very traditional lacy, sexy garments, and she sees a great deal of power of being a woman in these beautiful lacy things.
The artist we're looking at now is Nancy Yodelman. And Nancy is a veteran, again, of the feminist art scene in LA. She worked at Woman House. And as an artist, she is making work that is referencing the female body.
This bra is completely lined with little tiny straight pins. And if you've ever had clothing pinned to your body to be altered on any level, you know how sharp they are. They can hurt people, and this is a brassiere. So psychologically, it's very powerful. We have another beautiful, tiny little lady's glove that's also covered in pins. This is the work of an artist named Beanie Davidson, and this particular piece actually was key to this exhibition. This just so spoke to us about how people are silenced and spoken over and ignored and pushed aside, which is something every female I know has had some encounter with. And later on, Bibi gave us this other piece that talks about literally she's drowning.
We have here an installation piece by the artist Cynthia Minette. And Cynthia's piece is called Seconds to Last. And she is depicting the northern white rhino, of which currently there's only one left. There were two, and there's one now left. And the rhino, she's talking about the extinction of animals on our planet and what climate change in nature is doing right now in this very traumatic time. And we have rhinos made from recycled tinting material that she's got from friends who went to Burning Man to make this tinted object, and has LED lights in it which light up, and then it starts to get darker in a few seconds because this car which has seconds to last, right? And Cynthia is reminding us about and mourning with us about this loss of nature.
This is the artist named Sierra Pashore, and she is creating these big, beautiful porcelain art. I'm just going to read what Sierra wrote. It's quite profound. Since medieval times, we have attributed to the heart the attributes of love, wisdom, desire, despair, delight, heroism. Muscles hold memory, including trauma, but every ravage of the heart stored over millennia has the potential to transform into. The ghost hearts are a grieving, they are both testament and mourning. They tell the story of a loss that is fast approaching. They weep. Here we're
looking at the work of 2 separate bodies. One by Laura Larson, who's done these cast bronze creatures that are inspired by the mourners, which are tomb sculptures in the court of Burgundy, made in alabaster, and she's miniaturized her mourners. They are monks, and they're all wearing the robes of a monk, looking like mourners, but has also added to them by putting on animal heads and animal bodies. The pieces made of bronze below are part of the work that she and her husband Dean Larson do together as a collaborative team. Dean is a photographer, and on their travels together, he has photographed places that they have been, and through photoshopping, he takes photos of her work and has put them into these scenes and places that they've traveled to.
Here we're looking at the work of photographer Bianca Dorso, and she is talking about, again, she's talking about children. This is an image of a young boy sleeping with a gun. Well, he is a beautiful child. And this is a very disturbing picture. And the name of this piece is called At 12. This one is called Say Something. And it's pretty self-explanatory. We have a beautiful young girl who is looking at herself in the mirror, and she's got a taped up nose and a black eye.
What I really like is the choice that Bianca did to tear the paper so that there is one image on one side, which is the young girl, and then the mirror reflection. And then there's this crack in between that. So there's this breaking apart of reality and what she sees reflected in the mirror. This is a piece by Ted Stevenson, who we talked about a little bit before. And it was a curatorial decision to break up Ted's work and put it between 2 of Bianca's pieces because it seemed to flow with the meaning of what we were looking at. Ted is interested, of course, in text work. And so he's breaking this down in sentences as though some textual semiotic work, because Ted's background is philosophy, but he is giving us a piece that we felt really worked with the other pieces in this area. Eileen Cowan is a photographer, and here she has created a piece that I want to read to you what she writes and how she's kind of reacted to what she was making. And so this work came out of a collision of events and intersections and obsessions, hiding, fear, separation, and most of all, uncertainty. It is about unseen events and the uncertain future. It's an archival inkjet print, and it's quite large, as you can see, and has text on it with images that bring us to questioning, again, what is this really about? So we're looking at a 3-panel painting by Jill Sykes, and the title of the painting is Justice. And Jill painted this to honor one of her favorite people, heroine, which is Ruth Bader Ginsburg. What I love about this is what, instead of painting a portrait of Ruth, she painted the neckwear that Ruth would wear over her robes when she was in court. And this particular chabot was the one that she would wear when she was dissenting.
This group of names I refer to, I call them the marchers. And the idea for this came again after the election, and I was reading for the millionth time when women got the right to vote. I started doing research on the women who did help us get the right to vote, and they're called suffragettes, and there's thousands of them, but I found 12, and they all wore white. And all of these flowers represent a specific woman, and these are the flowers from their home state or nation.
The piece behind us is called 15th, 17th, and Pennsylvania Avenue. It's hand-cut paper by Margaret Griffith, and it is a replica of the fencing around the White House.
Margaret did this project right after the inauguration of Trump, and it's communicating very loudly about how a lot of people were reacting to it. She won a huge grant, and this was the project she decided to work on. So she flew to DC and she took these photographs and made this draping, drooping, flaccid gold fence that symbolizes money, power, and all sorts of stuff. This is the works of an artist named Mark Stephen Greenfield. He's very well known in Los Angeles, and he's discussing race in some very profound ways as an African American man. This particular series is called Incognito, and what he's depicting here are people with blackface. Most of these performers were white people, dressed as black people, in very cartoonish ways. This piece, Incognito, are actually photographs. There are actual photographs that Mark has reappropriated to make this piece. And they're printed on lenticulars, which is a kind of printing process which gives you the ability to see photo in its positive from one side, and then if you move to the other side, you see it as a negative. So those figures are actually going from blackface to whiteface. These are crazy eights. So notice in a circle there are 8 images around the circle, and these are drawings on paper. And Mark is taking the props and the parts that were used in minstrel shows, where the actor in blackface would be wearing a wig, using a tambourine, bones, gloves, hats, the mouth is very important. And the makeup that one would have with the mouth. So again, he's reappropriating that imagery and kind of making fun of it almost, but it's pretty horrific. Dawn has been doing a series of paintings along these lines where she's taking contrasting colors and very carefully having them weave in and out of these different panels. And one of the things she's speaking of is she personally is a twin. She has a twin sister. They're incredibly close. These women, they talk all the time. There's twin lives in another state, but politically and religiously, they are polar opposites. So her point about this is the closest person in her entire life. She talks to all the time. They sort of the subjects that they kind of can't touch upon because they're so fragile and volatile. So this is a way to have you to talk to somebody that you dearly love when we're on such opposite sides of the fence on this really important things.
Deb, you're on mute.
My word program instead of Shannon. Thank you, and please thank Ada and Jill for working with you to put this together. It's always interesting to hear people intimately involved with the creation of a show to talk about the artwork. I just want to comment that when people visit the exhibit, and I hope they will, a really close look at the self-help graphics section is well worth a visit itself. They're really interesting variations on this Utopia Dystopia theme, and we all, are very fond of self-help graphics from last year's Brand 49. So give that a look too. So thank you, everyone, my board members who are still with us. It's really nice to be with you again. We hope to see you soon. And bye, everybody. Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
All right. Take care, everyone. Bye.